Welcome and thank you everyone for being here today. We called this press conference for a few reasons. First off, the Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority has decided to no longer allow public comment outside of agenda items in an attempt to quell dissent. Separately, we're proud to announce a new coalition focusing on immigrants' rights. And just as importantly, we have uncovered some unnerving discoveries regarding ICE and Homeland Security investigations in Luzerne County that are of public interest. We will start with short introductions from a few of the preliminary partners of the coalition, followed by recent discoveries before opening the questions. Along with the organizations here today, Action Together, NEPA Stands Up, UDRF, IPAC, and the Democratic Socialists of America. We expect to have more signing on in the coming days, as well as a few organizations who couldn't be here today, including the Congolese Association in Scranton. If you are interested in joining on to this work, please reach out to any of these organizations. Send us an email. If you're a part of an organization and you're interested in getting involved, reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to connect with you about the ongoing work. Lastly, I would like to say that in the face of division, the only way for us to keep our community safe is through unity. And that is what we're trying to do here to bring our community together. So with that, first off, I would like to welcome Nina with NEPA Stands Up.
Hi, I am Nina Ancharsky, and I am a member of NEPA Stands Up. NEPA Stands Up is in steadfast solidarity with our immigrant neighbors. We are proud to join in coalition with NEPA DSA and Action Together NEPA to demand that ICE cease its cruel harassment, detainment, and deportation of working-class community members of color. The Trump administration has thrown due process rights out the window and is actively eroding our constitutional freedoms. Whether we are citizens, documented immigrants, or undocumented migrants, this administration has unleashed unprecedented and violent crackdowns on peaceful protests in Los Angeles, going so far as to deploy U.S. military personnel against American citizens. Let us be abundantly clear. ICE is not welcome here. Not their so-called processing centers, not their detention centers, not their officers. We affirm the right of all working class people to live free from fear and oppression, regardless of their citizenship status, primary language, national origin, or color. We demand that local law enforcement and municipal agencies, including the Luzerne County Flood Protection Authority, cease cooperation with ICE and denounce their intimidation practices. It is the duty of our local governments to ensure our communities are safe and that our people are thriving. Allowing ICE into our neighborhoods and into our publicly owned buildings does not keep Luzerne County safe. The presence of ICE, a lawless federal agency concerned with quotas over compassion, puts all of us and our very democracy at risk. The time to act against this injustice is now. We will work in our coalition to ensure our immigrant communities and neighbors of color know their rights and are supported when detainments and deportations occur. We will continue to demand that our local government protect all marginalized people. Immigrants make NEPA a beautiful and vibrant place to live. They are our neighbors, they are our friends, and they are our families. NEPA Stands Up is committed to building a Pennsylvania that works for all working people. We will not leave our immigrant communities behind. At this time, I'm going to hand this off to Rafad.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rafad Al-Jabouri. I'm here on behalf of IPAC, not APAC, that's with an I, IPAC, US.org. We are Integrity Political Action Committee established for advocacy and to build a grassroots movement against the many violations of the United States government, against activism, whether it's regarding immigration or Palestine or any other just cause. And the recent executive orders that signed by President Trump, although I don't like to call him president, honestly, but anyway, signed by Trump carries many violations of the constitutional rights of the American citizens and non-citizens. Many of the violations are represented by lack of due process for immigrants, as there is expeditious process for deportation, not adequate hearing nor notice to those who are targeted, denial to asylum access, and most egregious one is the use of the Alien Enemy Act. The Trump administration, invocation of the Alien Enemy Act, a wartime authority that was used over 100 years ago during war times, is unlawful. It doesn't apply to this because we are not at war with any country. Rather, they are at war with the citizens of this country. That is the real war that's going on. And they are honestly acting more like Gestapo. If you don't know what Gestapo is the SS, the German Nazi that they targeted at the time everybody who perceived as a threat to the system of governance. And that is exactly what's happening now. Now there's also family separation policy and other action attempting to deploy military and National Guards against peaceful protests, used intimidation tactics, and even use excessive force. We've seen it on video. That is not something not documented. Excessive force against protesters, and rubber bullets, and other violent incidents that happened at the hands of the police and other agencies. It is time for everybody in this nation, honestly, to stand up. And I'm not singling out Republican system of governance. Rather, the violations of constitutional rights started even during the Democrat times. During Biden also, they used oppressive targeting tactics against activists for Palestine. And they continue to use that, starting with the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil during Trump time. And from there, it started like domino fall. They saw they got away with it, and they started basically signing executive orders that's targeting every single immigrant without due process. So it may not affect some of our citizens now, but one day you will rise against this government for the cause that means something to you. And you will be also the target of this oppressive system. So if you don't stop them now, before it reaches you, it will be too late. So let's stand together, unite to protect our communities and protect the rights of our citizens and human rights of non-citizens. Thank you so much. Please, if you familiarize yourself with IPAC, ipacus.org, and we appreciate the support, and we're looking forward to work with any and all advocacy organizations in the service of our citizens and this country. Thank you so much.
Next up, we will have Michael with the Democratic Socialists of America.
If you want. So, yeah, my name's Michael. I'm with the DSA. I'm a member. And so I just want to show something that was uncovered recently by another member. So these are the draft blueprints of the HSI facility, which is going to be renovated at Luzerne County expense. There's supposed to be reimbursement, but at Luzerne County expense, right over there, that building, the Flood Protection Authority, the command center. So they call for a conference room, which includes a heavy-duty restraining stool with attached shackles. This is going to be bolted to the floor, as well as another of these steel stools out in their open office space. So I think this clearly demonstrates that HSI has an intent to hold detainees on the premises. We also have direct proof of of HSI involvement in indiscriminate raids, including confirmed incidents in both Exeter and Honesdale in past weeks. If you want to show. These raids are, these images are not from California, they're not from Chicago, they're not from New York, they're from down the road, clearly labeled, and these are confirmed. This photo here was released by HSI themselves in a public statement, so it's not exactly speculation. The LCFPA, Luzerne County Flood Prevention Authority's agreement with HSI is actively facilitating stuff like this and will actively facilitate their ramp up of illegal and unconstitutional human rights abuses in this country. We can't forget this. We have to understand that this is directly, enabling, like that building there, that authority there is directly enabling these people who are blackbagging our neighbors out in the open.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike. I'm also with the DSA, and I'm here to point out that while the LCFPA is facilitating ICE's presence here in 40 Fort, and this bottom right image here shows ICE first meeting at the Wyoming Regional Police building right over there on Wyoming Ave prior to the raid in Exeter. So the LCFPA is not the only organization that is cooperating with ICE in this area. And in fact, we received word late last week that the Luzerne County District Attorney's Office has now applied to enter the county into what's called the 287G program. This program allows ICE to deputize local law enforcement and carry out immigration enforcement operations. Under the task force model, which is the particular branch of this law that the county has applied for, ICE will train and authorize law enforcement to essentially carry out enforcement and removal operations. In other words, locally do ICE's job for them. There are a number of responsibilities they are granted. I have copies of that section of the agreement if anybody would like them. The most alarming piece of what's in the agreement is that ICE allows the local law enforcement they are deputizing to arrest anyone suspected of violating immigration law without a warrant, if police believe said immigrant is likely to escape before a warrant can be obtained. This is, of course, extremely abusable language. Legally, ICE and police cannot enter someone's home without a judicial warrant unless they are allowed inside by someone in the building. Unlawful presence, one of the most common things that ICE arrests people for, is a civil offense and requires an administrative warrant. These can't be done without warrants. Perceived likelihood of escape is arbitrary, and it effectively authorizes county police to make any immigration arrest without a warrant as long as they tell the right story. Yet another direct violation of due process, and it is literally in the training documents that ICE is using for local law enforcement. The county is entering into this agreement with them and doing so willingly. Participation in the 287G program trains and authorizes local law enforcement agencies to do ICE's job for them on the county's dime. ICE does not pay for those operations. They pay for some critical IT infrastructure. Aside from that, any enforcement and removal operations is paid for by the county police. They'll be using the same underhanded tactics that ICE uses to undermine due process all across the country. It turns the county's resources against our communities, using them to facilitate the federal government's racist scapegoating of immigrants. Our local taxes should not be used to enforce fascist federal policies. For a full description of what this agreement looks like, if you just Google, or whatever your preferred search engine is, the Memorandum of Agreement for the 287G task force model, the full description is there, including what responsibilities are granted, who pays for what, how training is done, how people are vetted. It's all in there. And I, once again, have copies of the list of responsibilities from that document if anyone's interested. Thank you.
Before we conclude, we'll open up for any questions if anyone might have any.
Hi, Kat from WBIA. So, you're making this announcement today. What's the next step forward, as far as the coalition goes? Are you, planning to get involved in, trying to make sure the rights of citizens are protected? Do you want to be there when there's ICE raids? What's the next step?
So we had observed the ICE raid in Exeter on the 5th. It was, we saw the folks gathering outside of the Wyoming Valley headquarters, so we got a little bit of a tip-off from there. We would like to continue observing any perceived violations of folks' First Amendment, Fourth Amendment. So we will be continuing to trying to build out that kind of work, but we have no other announcements regarding that right now.
Like the name of this coalition?
That is still a work in progress. You can refer to the working title as the NEPA, NEPA, Immigrants Rights Coalition.
Have you spoken to anyone, who's been in these situations with ICE? And, can you share what maybe they said their experience has been?
So we do have contact with someone that was picked up on the June 5th raid. Within a week, they had arrived in Mexico City. Their route, from our understanding, was from Pike County to Brownsville, Texas, before boarding a deportation flight to Mexico City. You don't have too much more information to share regarding that, but I think that's what we can share with the press.
Where did you guys get the photo of the blueprint?
So that was available on the county bidding website. All bids have to be uploaded into a public database, and they were uploaded on there.
Sorry for not knowing the connection here, but how does the Flood Protection Agency play into everything that's happening in the county?
So the Flood Protection Authority for the last about year and a half have been going through a process of leasing half of the building behind you to the Department of Homeland Security Investigations under the Scranton sub-office. They insist that it's not going to be participating in any immigration removal projects, but as we can see with the other images from the Exeter raid, that HSI is directly, there's literally someone with an HSI vest on at the raid.
We've seen names on vests in multiple locations around this area. The immigration raids.
And that is expected to be finished sometime late summer, early fall.
Go ahead. Can you kind of expand on, I think, in northeastern Pennsylvania, we pride ourselves on kind of where we came from. Can you kind of maybe expand on why it's important today to make sure that immigrants are protected within our own communities, and why friends and neighbors who maybe have lived here their whole lives should step up and help out?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm half Irish, and we have a sizable Irish population in the area. When my family first emigrated to this country, we were shouted down, we were discriminated against, and after generations, we melded into the American melting pot. So this is something that you can see that happens after just a couple of generations. Any immigrants that come here, they basically are Americanized in 1 to 2 generations, where the only difference then becomes like the color of our skin or some small phenotypes. So we're a nation of immigrants. The vast majority of us came here from another country, and for us to be daft in that outlook is absolutely horrifying to some of us.
I'm not expecting you maybe to know, but do you guys know what, if any of those individuals in those pictures, Honesdale, Exeter, what their reason for the raid was?
Yeah, so in Exeter, the worst crime that anyone had committed was a DUI, which is honestly the most NEPA crime that you can commit. The only other charges were unlawfully entering the United States.
Are those documents, like, is there any court documents related to that?
No, because they weren't seeing any judge. There was no due process during this whole process, I guess. It was just a detention, moving from one facility to another, and then over the border.
Immigration court typically entails at least one court hearing. That was standard procedure, and we've seen nothing for a lot of these people.
So kind of dovetailing off of Kat's question about immigration, what does the area stand to lose?
These folks are working in our restaurants, working in our factories, working, in lawn care. They are part of our community. They are hardworking folks, as exemplified in these two raids. These are raids on workplaces, as opposed to violent criminals, drug traffickers, or human traffickers that Department of Homeland Security is saying that they're going after with these raids.
Are you guys going to the meeting?
Yes.
Is there anything on the agenda that we'll be able to talk about?
Nope. So that's why the press conference is here, because they have limited comments to agenda items only. So as a way to, be able to exercise our First Amendment right, we had to hold a press conference in order to release these revelations.
Yeah, one more question. So somebody is scared to get involved, like they're not really into activism, but they see you guys, they see this press conference. So how would you tell them to get involved?
So not all activism is done out in the streets. A lot of it has to get done behind, closed doors, so to say, in meetings, and conversation with other folk. So if you are interested, you might be a little afraid to come out and stand in front of a camera, but there is a space for you in this movement. Anyone else? Thank you for coming, everyone. Appreciate your time. Absolutely.